Okay, here's a shocker. Well, actually, we're talking about John Paul Miller, so what is really shocking these days? Not much, but if you haven't heard, there is a new investigation going on in the death of Chris Skinner. So, who is Chris Skinner? Wait, let's back up. Chris Skinner was a 41-year-old quadriplegic who drowned in a Myrtle Beach neighborhood pool on September 6, 2021. And this case has seen significant developments as of today, March 26, 2025, particularly with respect to its connection to Pastor John Paul, otherwise known as J.P. Miller. This is according to recent reports and family statements. So, Chris Skinner was paralyzed from the neck down following a car crash. He was also a well known motivational speaker, author, and counselor in the community. His death was initially ruled an accidental drowning, with the coroner's report indicating his wheelchair got too close to the pool edge and slipped in, while the Myrtle Beach Police Department report suggested it lunged suddenly into the water. These discrepancies, combined with the lack of an autopsy, independent witness interviews, or photographic evidence, raised initial questions. Security footage showed Skinner stopping near a curve before quickly moving into the pool, with his head briefly surfacing before submerging, and the person he was reportedly meeting for a chess game never appeared on camera. So on March 20th of this year, the Horry County Coroner's Office, in collaboration with the MBPD, announced the investigations reopening are due to, quote, new evidence concerning the manner of death, as confirmed by Chief Deputy Coroner Tamara Willard. This development was reported in multiple sources, including the Post and Courier and Fitz News. The MBPD has assisted in reviewing the case but has not disclosed specifics about the new evidence, citing the ongoing nature of the investigation. But Skinner's sister, Tamara McDermott, expressed optimism about the reinvestigation, stating in an interview with Post and Courier that, quote, I'm really excited for the truth and the light to come out. She highlighted that over the past year, a significant number of witnesses have provided invaluable information, suggesting that new testimonies may be central to the evidence. This scrutiny, she noted, stems from concerns about an individual, implied to be J.P. Miller, who was present at the scene and is now under alleged FBI investigation. Now, if you are somehow not familiar with J.P. Miller, let me tell you. J.P. is the former pastor of Solid Rock Church at Market Common. He conducted Chris Skinner's funeral and has been linked to the case through allegations of a romantic relationship with Susie Skinner, Chris's wife, in 2021. This claim was detailed in an affidavit by Miller's ex-wife, Allison Williams. This suit was filed in 2024 as reported by Daily Mail. Williams alleged that Miller used their son, who played soccer with Susie's son, to facilitate the affair, and that it was known among their social circle, causing embarrassment to their children. Now, she claimed her children were well aware of the affairs, which their friends also gossiped about, causing them a tremendous amount of embarrassment. She said, when I learned John Paul was exposing our children to yet another one of his adulterous affairs, I confronted JP and Susie and told them not to let it happen again. Now, in this picture, you see JP Miller with his now deceased wife, Micah. Many people think that there may be some kind of other foul play involved. This picture is Susie Skinner and JP Miller. This, strangely enough, was taken just a few days after JP's wife's untimely death. This was a huge scandal amongst social media, but they were seen on several occasions, not only just after the incident, but many times since. Now, his first wife, Allison Williams, divorced Miller in 2015 after discovering he was having an affair with Micah, who he married in 2018. It is not known if his alleged 2021 affair with Susie ended before Micah's death. According to Williams, quote, JP called me the day Susie's husband died in an alleged drowning accident, extremely upset and asking me to pray, which was incredibly bizarre. Yes, it is especially bizarre to call your wife and ask her to pray for the deceased husband of your mistress. JP has no shame. But interestingly enough, based on the information and belief just 2 weeks prior to Skinner's death, Susie's husband had confronted JP and asked him to leave his wife and children alone. Now, Tara McDermott, again, Skinner's sister, said the reopening of the investigation into her brother's death was partly prompted by new witnesses giving contradictory evidence to what Susie and others told police. She said, when looking at the police reports and coroner reports, it is clear there was some inconsistency. Also, it was acknowledged that some of what was said at the scene may be inaccurate. She went on further to say that her brother fell out with Miller's church Solid Rock and with Miller himself about 4 or 5 months prior to his death. Chris definitely voiced that he did not like the pastor of that church, and he did stop going to church there. He was in some emotional pain and he was having a hard time. He was pulling away and distancing himself. It is this period of time that is understood to be a focus of the reinvestigation. And as you see here, this is Susie and Chris Skinner. Now, this is JP's first wife, Allison, who bears a crazy striking resemblance to Micah. Now, on the day in question, Chris went to the pool to meet someone for a game of chess and had his neighbor, Eric Tarto, open the gate for him. Now, let me say that this was a common occurrence that reports are Susie and Chris would both go hang out by the pool in the evenings, and he often went by himself, so this in itself was not suspicious. Now, Skinner was recorded on security cameras entering the pool area at 7:52 a.m. with his dog and moving the chess tables in his powered wheelchair. A few minutes later, he began rolling around the edge of the pool and fell into the pool. At 7:56 a.m., strapped to the chair, with no one around to save him, he drowned. However, the police and coroner's reports give conflicting descriptions about how Skinner went into the pool, despite viewing the same CCTV footage. He appears to have gotten too close to the pool edge, causing the wheel to slip, and he fell into the pool. By contrast, the police report stated Skinner stops at a curve in the pool and then suddenly moves quickly forward and goes into the water. Skinner was seen attempting to pull his head up a few times, but is unable to do so before the motion-activated camera stopped recording. No one saw Skinner in the pool until 40 minutes later when neighbors arrived and noticed an object in the pool which they thought was a float or toy left in the pool by one of the kids. When they looked closer, they realized it was Skinner and called 911. So this is Chris and Tamara, his sister. What is interesting about this is that JP actually conducted Skinner's funeral at his church a few days later. Wow. I find that disturbing since Chris had cut off all communication, stopped going to church, and had confronted JP 2 weeks earlier. Why on earth would you have a pastor that Chris Skinner could not stand direct his funeral? Well, I'm just going to say it like a slap in the face, right? Now, according to Tamara McDermott, she said her brother's case being reopened was a direct result of its association with J.P. Miller and his continued relationship with Susie due to huge public interest in Micah's death. This exposure has led to a significant number of witnesses coming forward with invaluable new information, as we said earlier. She further says, our cooperation is not an act of division, but one of love for Chris, his memory, and the justice he deserves. Now, as for JP, he repeatedly denied he was in a relationship with Susie in the weeks and months after Micah's death, despite people around them insisting they were. And, of course, many people snapping photographs of them together. Earlier this month, Miller was accused of forcing himself on a 15-year-old girl in 1998 when working at his father's church in Myrtle Beach when he was 19. This Jane Doe has come forward and also left the door open for any other person who was, let's just say, wronged by J.P. Miller to come forward. There is also a Jane Doe number 2 who has come forward and said that behind their religious facade, J.P. and Reginald Wayne Miller engaged in abuse and predatory conduct, often targeting minors. Is anybody surprised here? Not me. And it was during this whole ordeal that in court, J.P. admitted that Susie Skinner is currently his girlfriend. And so to sum things up, this new investigation is going to be focusing on JP Miller's alleged involvement. Now, JP is already under investigation by the FBI, so it seems like his legal troubles are just compounding. So, this is a very interesting development and possible. We are all hoping that the truth of JP Miller's many, many indiscretions and possible, allegedly, criminal activities will be exposed. So, what do you think? Was JP involved somehow in Chris Skinner's death, or is this just a lot of noise? For myself, I think it's very suspicious that both spouses died in violent ways, and the two remaining spouses are a couple and have been for many years. It's true that stranger things have happened, but in this case, with Miller's prior history, my bet is on this investigation is going to find some very, very interesting truths. All right, I hope you have a great day. Whatever you do, stay safe and stay silky. Bye bye.